Hello everybody, welcome to another review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the brand new album that just recently released by Citizen Soldier ICU. So Citizen Soldier is a rock band from America that basically writes a lot of their music in other words, it's a bit hard to say. It's a bit of like a more personal band. The writing, the lyrics, everything, it follows the traumatic experience of the lead singer, who was in a psychiatric hospital, and I think it also had almost a life-death situation with suicide. He survived what happened, and I think because of that, that's how we got the whole band. And every album the band has done is basically pushing about how you're much better than you think you are. It's basically trying to spread a positive message about yourself, and a lot of the music comes from a personal well-being. And ICU is the 6th installment. I'm going to be honest, I have not really listened to this band for ages because I followed them in 2019 when Relentless was just releasing, and I quite enjoyed the record, but then they had an album so often. They had Relentless 2019, Down the Rabbit Hole 2020, This Is Your Sign Part 1 2021, This Is Your Sign Part 2 2022, Scarecrow 2022, and we got this album for 2023. There seems to be a little bit more time put into this one as I think as some of the others, and it definitely goes to show because I think some of the writing is perhaps some of their best stuff. I feel some of the problems I have with Citizen Soldiers, they have a lot of music, and while even like the ideas might not come as original, it just might not feel as refreshing, the overall lyrics, the way that a lot of it is pretty much just pushing through depression and constantly just, reminding yourself that you're not this weak person you think you are. And I've always thought lyrically that's a good approach for a band, and if this is the whole idea they want to go for, then I 100% agree with it, and I think that's a good idea. I just think that they have so many songs released in about a year, especially on these records as well. They have like you go from like the first track all the way to like 17. Sometimes it's a bit less, most of the time it's a lot of tracks, so to come up with a lot of stuff that feels original necessarily is not necessarily the case, and I feel that's the problem with ICU. I kind of have this problem with Citizen Soldier when there's a lot of tracks, because there's going to be some that feel like filler, and I understand, I 100% agree with the lyrics. I think they come from a very good place. I just think sometimes instrumentally it's not quite as good, but for the record it is still a pretty consistent fun record. If you're going into it just for a personal, you're just looking for something new and interesting for a rock band as well, they got some elements that I think you'll definitely enjoy. And if you're looking for something that's got a bit more of an emotional impact, this band does it really well. ICU I definitely recommend, as the song itself is kind of I don't know if they've done this before, but ICU focuses and tells you the story of the lead singer in pretty much the perspective of how he feels from being in the hospital from it. But the album does have more than just kind of more melancholy tracks. You do have some more kind of upbeat, darker ones. You got some a bit angry ones as well, like Wired for Worthless, which is probably my favourite song from them. I just love the energy on this one. It's insane. The chorus is just great. I love a lot of the stuff they have going on here, and I think it was around this point I really started digging into the album, because the first 7, there was some good ideas, but I find myself kind of forgetting them as I go on. Like Afterlife's good, and I did think Broken Like Me and My Own Miracle were good, but around the other points like Reason to Live and Alone with Myself, I think they're fine, but I think because I don't necessarily connect as much to the overall lyrics to it, I feel that I kind of am a little bit of a disadvantage there. But in terms of everything else sonically, and even I agree with the message that they are spreading, it works well. And I think when you get into the second half, that's when you kind of dive into the even better stuff. You dive into the newer tracks as well, because trust me, this band releases a lot of singles, like a lot. I think that's how they managed to make an album a year, or 2 a year, depending on what it is, because they're releasing singles months prior to the album's release, so they get time to work on the next one and release and so on. So it doesn't feel like it's being rushed necessarily. Some bands cannot structure in the way that they can release an album a year, but I think Citizen Soldier, because they're pushing just this message, and they're not trying to be like the most inventive, the most unique band out there. They're trying to push the formula just so it can reach people who are a big fan of the alt metal, hard rock area of music. But I honestly think this is a good album. I quite like the second half, as I mentioned. You got some great tracks like Good Enough for God, Strong for Somebody Else. I think ICU is honestly a really beautiful song, and I was surprised at how good this one is. It's a really good album. Not much else I can say than that, but I definitely recommend it if you're looking for something a little bit more personal and to get a bit of emotion, because I can never see this having a really strong connection to someone who's been in a similar situation. But yeah, I'll give this album a 3.5 out of 5. I quite enjoyed it. I recommend this one, and hope you guys enjoy. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video.